All right, this video is going to be about Disc Golf Valley VR. It's the VR version of the popular mobile game. As you can see, the art style is pretty much the same. In my opinion, I think this is just a direct port from the mobile game, so it's extremely similar to the mobile game. Obviously, the big difference is how you throw the disc, being that it's in VR. It's also, in my opinion, more difficult than the mobile game simply because so many factors go into each throw. But let's start off just by looking at the game itself. You've got your settings, your graphics quality, player icon, things like that. Your player profile, showing your level, discs acquired, all the just standard information. We get to the main menu. You have Challenge the Valley, Tournaments and Practice, your collection, and the Pro Shop. The Pro Shop being a direct port from the mobile game, it's not very extensive. It also This is currently a single player game. There's no multiplayer in this game, and we'll talk about that more later. So since it doesn't go out to a server, the store, you can go out and back into the store and it'll change every time. It's not just per day. So you can kind of rotate through here and try to find the disc you want because they will rotate through. If you go to your collection, these are all the discs that you currently own. I have my main bag here at the top, putter pouch, and mid-range slots, and the rest of my inventory here at the bottom. As you can see, I have a pretty good selection, different molds, different stamps, and we'll talk a little bit about the collection more later. Then the game itself, Challenge the Valley. Got your list of courses here on the right, how many stars you've received in each. This is the public beta version of the game, 1.015. It does have a couple extra courses. And then in practice mode, you also have Emporia, Front Nine and Back Nine, and Lost Island. Actually, I think Lost Island may be in the main. Yeah, okay. It is on the main list. So it's just the additional course would be Emporia, the Front and Back Nine. So let's get into the game itself. We'll start on Sunshine Glade, which is obviously the easiest course. You see you've got your T sign. You have a distance marker above the basket, just like the mobile game. To grab the disc, you pull and hold the trigger. It's going to show you the disc speed, any disc attributes on the left, and the disc name. It's got a nice look to it. You can see there is some lighting to let you really inspect the disc. To rotate through the discs, then go up and down on the thumbstick, and you can go through your different discs that are currently in your bag. So these are all of my current discs. I mean, the discs look great. By far the best looking discs of any VR disc golf game. It doesn't hurt that they're all actual discs, named, they have signature discs from actual players. Got your Rebecca Cox there, stamp. And all your Latitude 64 discs, Discmania. It's just a great looking game visually. If you want to go forehand, backhand, it's just right for forehand and left for forehand on the stick, thumbstick. Here I like to throw a pure. This is my extra glide pure, and throw it out forehand. Oh, that was a bad throw. Let's try that again. No follow through. And that's something we'll talk about too, is the physics in this game. That's better. Ooh, almost hit it. So during the flight, you can pull your trigger, and you'll see it'll teleport you to like a catch cam to show you a different angle of the throw. That's what happens when you're concentrating on what you're saying and not the game. All right, so just like disc golf, it keeps score for you. You have a scorecard that comes up just like in the mobile game. So now we'll talk about physics. The physics in this game are what I think really set it apart from any other VR disc golf game because they're just great. Um, just like in disc golf, when you're throwing the forehand, you want to come out and kind of follow through, get a little bit of wrist flick at the end to get the spin going to keep the disc straight and true. If I were to come forward and just not move my wrist at all and just let go of the disc, you can see it just hyzers out immediately, just like it would in real life, right? Now, if we try that shot again, come through and flick my wrist just like I should at the end to get some spin on the disc, well, then it flies correctly. It's that sensitive. I mean, everything in this game works like it would work in real life. Depending on what angle you release the disc, it's going to make a difference in the flight. Depending on if you let go here, here, or here, it's going to make a difference in the flight. If you don't come back and follow through enough, you're not going to get the same amount of speed. If I were to start kind of halfway and just flick it, speed 21, and you know, I don't even get halfway there, right? Now, if I come back, really come back and follow through, obviously, well, that goes to show you I wasn't paying enough attention. I didn't put enough flick on the wrist, got some height, and then it hyzered out early, right? It's just like actual disc golf. Same goes for backhand. If I don't come back and follow through, it's going to be a bad throw. And if I roll my wrist, if I come through and roll my wrist a little bit, just enough to kind of stand it up, well, look what happens. Goes on an Anheuser line, just like it would in real life. You know, it's just that good. Putting is the same. It feels so natural in this game because it's the type of motion that you would do if you were actually putting in real life. It's like the physics mimic real life, but the power is assisted by the game. In other words, when I'm putting, I'm not putting a full force, putt into this. I'm doing the same motion that I would in real life. That's, more of a push putt. The same motion, just not as hard. And the speed the discs fly mimic what you would see in real life. Plus the addition of that beautiful Jomez Pro follow flight line as you throw. I mean, look at it. It's just perfect. Another thing I really love about this game is the sound. The sound design. I mean, that sounds like hitting the front of the cage on a disc golf basket, right? That's exactly what it sounds like. And the chains, those sound like chains, right? So there's really nothing about the game itself, the gameplay, that I dislike. Oh, that was too early. That's bad. Will I make it? Oh, it made it. Got lucky. Now we talk about the one thing that's bad about this game. It's lacking active development currently. Spin-off Games basically ported this from the mobile version and released the beta just about the same time, and then they haven't touched it since, and that's been a while, and I'm talking, I think, almost 2 years now. So there's really not a lot to look forward to as far as game development. I have read that they finally posted a job posting for a VR developer. So hopefully here within the next year, they'll hire someone and this game will start getting caught up to the mobile version. The biggest thing it's lacking, like I mentioned, is multiplayer support. There's no multiplayer support. Now, that being said, on the Disc Golf Valley United Discord page, David Salee has been working really hard to keep this game feeling fresh. I don't know how much he'd want me to go into it, but we'll just say he's been spending some time lightly modifying the game. doing things like creating custom courses where he'll take a hole from Oak Hill, a hole from Lakeside, a hole from Blueberry Thicket, and put them all on a new course, and then put that course on this list. Things like that. Things like going into the game and adding discs that are in the mobile version, but that aren't natively in the VR version, like the Rive. The Rive is not available in VR when you buy the game. He added the Rive. So, he's doing things to keep it fresh. He was able to go in and unlock the alternate stamp for the musket, this cool pirate stamp that wasn't already in the game. Unlocked some of these other stamps that they were in the coding of the game, but they weren't accessible within the game yet. So he's been working really hard to keep it fresh. We've been doing kind of a fake multiplayer on Discord where we play the same course at the same time and bring the Discord voice chat video into VR. So as I'm playing the game, I can look to the side and I can see his screen and what he's doing. And we play the same course and we take turns throwing just like you would in multiplayer. And that's been fun. It's been a lot of fun, but it's not the same as playing multiplayer in VR. So like I said, really the only thing this game has going against it is number one, lack of active development, and number two, sound design. Or I'm sorry, scratch that. Number two, lack of multiplayer. The sound design is amazing. So lack of multiplayer and active development. That being said, it is still the best disc golf VR game available. Hands down, no doubt. And what I'm going to show you now is, I would say, the closest contender, closest competition to Disc Golf Valley VR, and that's Off the Chains Disc Golf. And we'll talk about the severe contrast in the two games. The gameplay, sound design, what's lacking, what's not, what advantage Off the Chains has, and what it's really lacking compared to Disc Golf Valley VR. Again, in my opinion, Disc Golf Valley VR is by far the best disc golf experience you're going to have in VR. But it does lack active development and multiplayer. So let me switch over to Off the Chains and we'll talk more about that. All right, so here we are in Off the Chains Disc Golf. I want to preface this by saying I appreciate the fact that the developers are actively developing this game. I appreciate the effort that they put into developing this game. I want to say that up front. But I feel like this game is severely lacking. And it's really, the only thing it really offers is a true multiplayer experience. That's really all it has over Disc Golf Valley VR. That being said, I've tried to play the multiplayer with friends, and playing this game together, it really exaggerates where this game is lacking, because you now have you and someone else experiencing what it's lacking together. And we'll get into what that is. So when you go into the loadout, these are all the discs. They're not what I would call attractive designs. They're a little cartoony. They do have a store where you can go in and unlock different discs using their currency, which are chain links. I believe I have unlocked all the discs. For some reason, you can only bag 4 discs. So I own all of these, but I can only bag 4. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't know anybody that goes out on the disc golf course and only brings 4 discs, unless you're a beginner. There's your avatar. which is just a very basic kind of cartoony head, floating head and hands. You can change the eyes, face, hat, skin tone. Your stats page, and then back to your Build-A-Bag. So let's go to the... So actually, before we go to single player, let's look at the settings. So power difficulty. You go anywhere from casual to realistic. I haven't played with this a lot. After going to the Discord and speaking to other players and the developers, everybody recommends realistic. I'm not sure why. I don't know what the difference is in the two or in the five here, but they all say you need to go realistic. Okay. You have your graphics, audio settings, follow cam, teleporting, all that. So let's go to single player. There are several courses available here. I think I've unlocked all of them. Some of them are locked when you first get the game. You have to play prior courses to unlock the harder courses. We're going to go ahead and start with this easy 9-hole. Now, one thing I just realized I didn't do was I did not put the battery back in my left controller. The left hand, or your off hand, I guess, in the game has a watch. It gives you like some hole information. It'll show you the map, the distance, your distance to pin, things like that. I take the battery out of my left controller when I play Disc Golf Valley VR because your offhand isn't required in Disc Golf Valley VR. So I always set my controller down. The problem being, if you leave your battery in, you can see a floating hand in the distance the entire time you play. So right now I'm only playing with my right controller in off the chains, where I should probably have both of them simply because that left hand has that little watch that you can tap for the menu. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think you need that watch to quit the game. So I might have to just force quit this game when I'm done. So right off the bat, one thing I dislike is when you spawn, the bag spawns. I believe the bag is based on the center of your play space rather than where you spawn. I play towards the back edge of my play space because I don't have a lot of distance between me and my desk. So if the bag is centering on the center of the play space, it's more than arm's length away from me when it spawns. So every time I go to throw, I need to kind of step forward to get a disc. So to me, that's kind of annoying. You have to put your hand in here and just kind of move back and forth to see your discs. Sometimes you'll grab the wrong disc, and I'll show you why that's an issue. So let's say I grab a disc. I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't want this one. I can't just press a button and bring the bag back. There's no way to bring the bag back. So to bring the bag back, you just have to drop your disc. Luckily, it doesn't count as a stroke. It's just a really unnatural way to bring the bag back. So this is 230 feet. So I'm going to throw a mid-range. I have two here. To me, that's a speed 7. That should be a fairway driver, not a mid-range. Mid-ranges usually only go up to about a speed 5, maybe a speed 6. Speed 7, you're talking fairway driver at that point. So we're going to go mid-range. Backhands, the hand position for backhand is pretty close to right. I mean, I would like it if I'm holding it here, I feel like it should be up a little bit, a little more horizontal, a little more straight. Forehand, though, is a different story. So you'll see here, so I'm holding my backhand disc flat. If I switch to forehand, look at the angle it's on. I now have to twist my wrist to an unnatural position to throw forehand. Like that just feels off. I like to throw forehand in VR. I honestly very rarely throw forehand in real life, but I like in VR to throw forehand because I can continuously look at the basket. I don't have to turn away from the basket, so I just feel it's a little more accurate, right? Now, when it comes to physics, this is where this game really, really lacks because the physics, they just don't make sense. Let's put it that way. First of all, you have to really kind of, it's hard to explain. Can, you have to kind of power through your throw and then really kind of whip it out there. Like it's not like in Disc Golf Valley VR where you do a natural movement and then the game kind of adds power. Um, this one's a really, I mean, you really have to get some power behind it. And then look how far I'm going. So 270, right? Mid range, not bad. Then we're gonna go putter. This is a physics issue I've found. Now, hopefully, this tree doesn't affect me. But if I hold this completely flat or at an extreme hyzer angle, it doesn't matter. The disc goes straight no matter what. So that was an extreme hyzer angle. That disc went completely straight on the line that I threw it on. Right? Unnatural physics. Sound design. I don't know if it'll do when I tap it. No. Okay. So if I can hit this, you've got to hear it. It reminds me of a baking sheet being dropped on the floor. Did you hear it? See if I can do it again. Oh, I can't pick up my. Oh, well, chains that time. But yeah, the sound design on the game and that noise when you make a selection, that really high pitch noise is just, it's not pleasant. Let's go mid range again. Let's try forehand. Okay, so that was at a. I went down to up, right? So that's like a hyzer angle. Released it at a hyzer angle. From here to here. I did let go a little early, but even letting go early, it should have went that direction and then hyzered out early, right? I let go here, and the disc went completely straight. Very unnatural. Now let me show you how this works. So I'm going to let this go at a hyzer angle to try to throw up towards that tree to let a hyzer in, okay? Completely straight, only 60 feet. So let's try it again. Where's my bat? Okay, well, I found a new bug, I guess. So I went to my next shot, and for some reason, my disc is under the bridge, but it's spawning me on the bridge. So I can't actually get to my disc. I guess if I teleport down here, will I be able to pick it up? No. All right, so there's a bug. So I guess that was kind of good timing just to show you kind of where this game is at. I want to like this game. I really do, simply because it does have multiplayer, and I would love to be able to play with my disc golf with VR friends and play multiplayer, true multiplayer. But to me, in my opinion, multiplayer is the only thing this game has going for it. Multiplayer and active development. That being said, I don't think the developers are going to change what needs to be changed, in my opinion, to make this game very successful. I think it needs a different look. I think this is very drab. It's just mostly green and brown. I mean, the sky is nice, but there's always, most of the time, there's a lot of hills. You don't really pay much attention to the sky. The trees are kind of over sharpened. They're that you can walk through them. Like, they're not solid objects. I can literally just walk into this tree, walk through it. You can't throw through it. You can't walk through it. Like I said, the sound design. I don't like the way the chains sound. They sound too light. I don't like the way the band sounds when you hit it. Putting is inconsistent. The physics are inconsistent. What I did not get to show you, and I don't think I'm going to be able to now because I don't have my left controller to reset the game. I didn't show you just the inconsistency in the disc. I mean, you can let go of a disc and it'll go 60 feet, You give it just a little bit more power, just a little bit more follow through, it goes 250 feet. It's very hard to repeat the same throw. It's very hard to have two good throws in a row consistently. Um, I've thrown a mid range and it goes 50 feet, and then the next hole I throw the exact same disc and it went 350 feet. Just you just don't know what the disc is going to do. There are people I've spoken to on the Discord um, that seem to they've really figured out the physics somehow. But I think I have a feeling they have a lot of hours in the game. Um, another thing is a lot of these holes. Let's see if I can find. I don't think this one's quite as bad. A lot of these holes have really tight OB lines. So this one's not bad because I mean we're pretty far away from the basket. I've played some holes here. Let's see if I can find one. So this is the basket. Okay, I'm not on this hole, so I don't think it's going to show me. But there's been holes where the basket will be here, 10 feet away, 15 feet away is an OB line. And, we're talking about a game that does not have great physics. So you're taking a game that is hard to get a predictable throw, and then you're adding a tight OB line, and it's every hole has an OB line. I've played quite a few local tournaments. I've never played a tournament where every single hole had an OB line, and on top of that, a tight OB line. It's not necessary. This game should be fun, and it's not fun when you have inconsistent physics combined with tight OB lines. One of the multiplayer rounds I had with my friend, he and I both play a lot of Disc Golf Valley. I've played this a few more times than he has, so he wasn't quite as experienced in this game. And he went, he went out of bounds so many times. I think we lost count. I mean, it was at almost. It felt like almost every hole at some point he went out of bounds, and it got to the point where it was not an enjoyable experience. Now, I know the developers on Discord have talked about having an option to turn the OB off, but I think that's just kind of a band aid to the major issue, which the major issue is better physics, better sound design, consistent physics. Um, honestly, if the physics, the flight physics in this game, were up to the same level as Disc Golf Valley VR, I could overlook the sound design and the graphic design of the game. With multiplayer and good physics, that's enough. I mean, that it's really enough. But the physics in this game, to me, just don't make it an enjoyable experience. So that's it. Like I said, Disc Golf Valley VR, great looking game, great physics, great sound design, really only lacking active development and multiplayer support. Off the chains disc golf, not attractive, not good sound design, inconsistent, unpredictable physics, but active development, multiplayer support. So, you can choose what your priority is. To me, it's Disc Golf Valley all day. You may be able to overlook the shortcomings of off the chains disc golf and enjoy the multiplayer and the active development. So that's up to you. Thanks for stopping by, though, and watching this video. And you have a great day. Thanks.